Hey BrewTubers, happy Homebrew Wednesday. I'm having to shoot this first part of Homebrew Wednesday vlog style because my tripod isn't cooperating. So I'm going to start off this Homebrew Wednesday with a glass of my Pilsner. I will include a clip somewhere while I'm describing the beer of what the color really looks like in daylight because it's in the kitchen here with my yellow lighting. It looks a lot darker than it actually is. Dry hop beer, it's only really been, as when I'm filming this on Sunday, and we've been on CO2 for about 6-7 days. It's pretty freaking clear and really nicely carved. So as I said in the clip, I'll show you what the real color is. This is a really nice light color, and it's definitely lighter than the first batch. So it's going, and it did pour with a nice head. And if I think I have a picture which I can put in here to show you what the head looks like. But it does leave some nice lacing, as you can see. Lagers don't usually have the best head retention, so the aroma is pretty much the same as last time. Of course, same hops, same malts, just a little less of the Vienna and Munich. So it's definitely a little less sweet in the aroma. And the biggest difference of the taste is just that it's a little crisper and it doesn't have as much body. And I remember first batch, although it was the same ABV, because it had a little bit more of those Vienna Munich base-ish malts, it has more body to it, and I think that this one is definitely a little bit crisper. And also the hops, like, I remember I was drinking it for a few weeks last time before the hops really, the bitterness started to really build on my palate. But even now, even drinking my first few sips, you can really feel that 40 IBUs, 41 IBUs really building on my palate. So I think this is the recipe I'm going to stick with. Maybe at some point I'll be more, take another risk and up it from 90% Pilsner malt to 95, and maybe even 100 if I decide to do a decoction. But for now, at 90%, I'm quite happy with it. Nice, really nice sapphire hop flavor, really nice balanced bitterness, nice appearance, nice everything. And now, I might brew this again this year just to have it on tap again. But otherwise, I want to brew a Doppelbock as my next lager, which is even more challenging, just because it's a higher ABV lager. So you have the lager fermentation and mashing and all that, plus managing the higher gravity with more yeast, even more yeast than a Pilsner, and then fermenting it just right to make sure it attenuates down all the way at the cold temperature. So, but I'm up for the challenge, and so now I'll shoot you off to brew day footage of my Renewal IPA. Cheers. There's a little bit of Munich in there also, and a little bit of honey malt, and just to add a little color and a little bit of depth to the beer. So I also added a little bit of rice hulls, and I also add an extra about third of a gallon of mash water just to keep everything fluid so I don't get a stuck mash. YouTubers. So I hope you enjoyed the tasting of my Pilsner and the brew day footage. I'm thinking of doing a grain to glass video for my Renewal 4-grain IPA, just because I've posted a lot of brew day videos already, and I think something new would be to show, the whole process in one, concise video. So as you guys just saw in the transition, here's my porter, which I think my last Homebrew Wednesday I showed a gravity sample and I tasted it and told you what I liked and didn't like about it. But I thought I'd show you what it looks like poured from the tap. So one thing I don't like about it is that even though it's clearly carbonated, I don't know if you guys can see that when I tilt it back because it's a pretty opaque beer. It doesn't have much head retention, but the head that does stick around is like a khaki, almost light brown head, mocha head, more on the khaki side. So for the aroma, although when I was tasting gravity samples, it tasted and smelled more like Founder's Porter, which the recipe is a clone of. And as it's aged in the keg, it smelled some roast has come forward to make it smell more like a porter. But overall, it smells in the finish at 1020, and I put the roasted malts in at mash out with the calcium carbonate to reduce acidity. I lost a lot of the roasty quality that I love out of Founder's Porter. So there's a little bit of roast, a little bit of coffee and chocolate, which I'm really liking because there's no cocoa nibs, and I took the risk of adding, the dark malts at mash out, and I got the color, which I wasn't satisfied with the color of the breakfast. I thought it was a little light. I got the color and a lot of the good flavor, but as it matures in the keg, the complexity of the chocolate and the coffee is deepening. So let's go in for the taste. Yeah, it's really developing. It's been in the keg for at least a month already. I'm not exactly, I have to check back on my notes when I kegged it, but the beer is really maturing. And every time I taste it, like, the sweetness is a little bit more developed. So in the finish, it doesn't finish sweet. So overall, I could swirl back up ahead. Not a big one, but you could tell that it's pretty carbonated. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. But one thing that my friend Robert, who's a fellow Brewminary of mine, did point out was that I've been kind of like, with my past 2 dark beers, my stout and my porter, I've been kind of like over preparing. Like, I never had an astringency problem, so I didn't really need to try the techniques of cold steeping or adding at mash out because I never had an astringency problem to deal with because I have very soft water here. So even though dark grains do lower pH, and I was just doing it because I thought I might have a problem in the end, and I didn't want the astringency to be a problem. So overall, these techniques are good for preventing astringency, but if you don't have an astringency problem and your process, your brewing process is solid and your fermentation processes are solid, then you shouldn't really get astringency from dark malts, or I should say roasted malts. Yeah, it's pretty good. Getting a little umami flavor in there too. So yeah, so just to conclude this Homebrew Wednesday, hopefully it's not too long, on this Sunday is the official release at Rockaway Brewing Company in Long Island City for the beer that I brewed. You saw the brew day video of called Rise of the Brewminaries, a rye pale ale. We did do a soft release last week in Brooklyn at a few bars, so I got to taste it at Bitter and Esther's and then later at bars. And I'll show you a little picture of my taster glass that I had at Bitter and Esther's so you can see the color. But I probably will be filming this Sunday I don't know how much footage I'll get, but I'll definitely try to put together a special video about that, because it was a really cool experience, and I hope I have more experiences in the future. But Brewminaries stuff, the new club I helped found, is really flourishing. You know, we're doing a lot of really cool stuff together, and as time goes along, we'll try to capture as much of those adventures as possible. I'm getting back into the swing of things after my spring break or my Passover break. Hope you guys are brewing some great beers, and of course enjoying a few great beers, homebrew and craft beer, of course. And cheers.